Okay, today I'm going to do a little book related video, specifically considering books I'm hoping to read one day. If you're anything like me, and you like to write and you like to read, you might have a big bookshelf or two or more that have way too many books that you have not read. This past year, I started setting a goal for myself of how many books I need to read in a year. My goal this year was 10. I managed to hit that goal. Maybe for a video I might get those books and kind of do like mini reviews of them. I don't know, we'll see. But I thought I'd just talk about some of these books real quickly. I have 5, so I'll just talk about them real briefly. Obviously, this one, Dracula, classic horror. A lot of adaptations have been made off of this thing. Probably one of my favorites has to be Helsing. It kind of twists a few of the concepts around, but I mean, it's a blast of a series. I remember in high school, I had some friends who were in a production of Dracula. I'm not sure if it's going to be like the book, but I would love to read the book just so I can, go back in my memory and remember. It's like, was this a faithful adaptation to it or not? I don't know. So, Dracula, that's one I'm definitely wanting to read. I started it, but I never got that far, so I need to definitely make that one a priority. Next up, we have Hearts and Atlantis by Stephen King. Sorry if I'm sniffing a lot. I'm having a lot of drainage today. But Hearts in Atlantis. I don't know much about this book at all, other than the fact that it's Stephen King. And in the adaptation of it, you have Anthony Hopkins in it, which if it has Anthony Hopkins, it has to have some merit to it. But this is definitely one that I'm wanting to read. Because again, Stephen King. I pretty much have loved every single book that I've read of his. Probably the one I didn't enjoy was the Dark Tower kind of midquel book, I guess you'd call it. I don't know. The one that was set between I think books like 4 and 5 if I'm not mistaken, or it's either 3 and 4 or 4 and 5. I can't remember which one. But the wind through the keyhole, I wasn't that big a fan of that one, but everything else I've absolutely loved. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to love this one whenever I get around to it. This one, I think Anna Karenina or Karina, however I would pronounce it. I remember this book getting mentioned so many times when I read Series of Unfortunate Events as a kid. At the very least, it was mentioned in book 10. If you've read the Series of Unfortunate Events, you probably remember what I'm talking about. But that's one that I'm definitely wanting to read at some point. I mean, I know Leo Tolstoy gets a lot of credit, I think, when it comes to writing, so I definitely love to read that. Again, sorry for all the sniffing. The Once and Future King by T.H. White. If you've, watched the X-Men movies, you've probably heard this get referenced a couple of times. Definitely wanting to read this. I mean, Arthurian legend kind of story. Can't wait to read that. I also have the Merlin book as well that he wrote. So I would definitely like to read that as well. I don't have much to say about that other than back when I was in high school, I was kind of really into the whole King Arthur stuff, which kind of makes sense because that was at the same time when stuff like Sonic and the Black Knight was being released. So if you were, a young kid or, teenager to young adult and, you just picked up something that had to do with King Arthur, it kind of makes sense you'd be kind of into King Arthur stuff for a little bit. The last one I have for today is The Swiss Family Robinson. And this one I've wanted to read for a while, and I've read like a part of it. That was during the time when I was I think I had a Nook, and I was trying to read it on the Nook, and I eventually lost interest in using a Nook, and I didn't have a physical copy of the book, so I didn't ever finish the book. But I've been a big fan of this ever since I was a kid because of the movie that Disney made, the Swiss Family Robinson movie, which is pretty good. I highly recommend watching it if you've never seen it. Classic Disney, classic movie. But this is an interesting book because if I remember correctly, the guy who wrote it, Johann, I think that'd be how I pronounce his name. I'm very bad at pronouncing names, but he wrote it because of his sons. He wanted to teach them how to be a man. So, yeah, you have a lot of people nowadays who are trying to tell young fellas how they need to be a man, how they need to man up. So, here's a story of how to man up. If your family gets stranded on an island, here's what you need to do, boy. So that's it for today. I'm always trying to read more books because as a writer, uh, and bit of an author, not very accomplished author, but still an author, I'm definitely trying to gain more influence, gain more knowledge so I can improve on my craft. But that's all there is to it, I guess. So have a good day. God bless you. Jesus loves you. And if you're a writer, happy writing. If you're not a writer, I just hope you have a great day.